What is going on, YouTube? Pass the prop back here. Again, we're here. Skipped Wednesday, but we're back here for this huge Friday slate. We're talking some NFL. I think it's week 10 now. Crazy, but ready to roll. As always, Stu, I see you got the new background back there. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Hey, doing the best we can out here. You know, we already had to skip the Wednesday show. Wasn't trying to keep that going for Friday. So a little impromptu, a little bit ugly, but we'll make it work.
Yeah, it's gonna be a quicker one today, 30 minutes. Yeah. This guy's talking about my D-backs. Yeah, dude, I had to get this freshened up, bro. It's one of these like new ones I got, dude. They got these like retro ones. Unfortunately, I have like every Brewer hat, so you know you get tired of wearing the same Brewer hats. You know, you gotta switch it up a little bit, and they hooked your boy up. You have to pay extra. Do you know this? Before we get into it, you have to pay extra. I had to pay extra money to not have it be a flat brim because they only make these brands with the thing on the back and a flat brim. So I had to like pay an extra $10. I'm like, bro, we ain't doing that flat brim because they give you like those extra pockets on the side. It's like my ears are stuck in it. Like no one wants that shit, bro. Nobody wants that shit. So obviously a Brewer fan, but they when they got cool hats like this, dude, these things are filthy, man. But won't be wearing it too much late after today because I get my haircut today. So. But you know, when your hair gets too long, you got to have a hat on, you know?
Oh, 100%. Ultimate cheat code out here. But hey, that's fire. And I like that with hockey, too. That's because I'm not a fan of any hockey team, you know? So you can just kind of pick whatever looks the coolest. But definitely rock with that. Last time I was in a Lids, every hat cost $70, though. So fuck that.
Oh, I know. It was crazy. But this was the most expensive one that I looked at, and it was $45, I think. So it's like, plus the $10 on top of it to like flatten it. I'm like, that $10 is worth it because I would never wear it if it was flat brim because it does not look that good. So let's get into it. Let's recap. We got a recap from Monday, right? We got our Monday show. So let's take a look at our recap here. Oh, maybe I deleted it. No, I know what it was. I think I deleted it. It was Rashad White over 3.5 catches. And that was minus 125 or minus 120. How about that one? That one didn't cash, right? He had 3.
Yeah, he had 3, and then the final drive, he had one called back on like the worst holding I've ever seen. That was killer.
Well, you know who's always here to save us, and that's the two boys. It's Baker Mayfield, and it's obviously Geno Smith. Those are the two boys that never let you lose your money. And Baker, dude, just cooking again, man. This dude had like 16 midway through the third, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're feeling good. And then dump down started happening. They got down in the game, but they were winning for a little while, so it kind of got me nervous for a little bit. But Baker in prime time, Geno in prime time. I'm telling you, these dudes are cheat codes at this point.
Hey, I mean, like you said, Baker Mayfield in primetime. There's no better combination. It's how the guy saved his fucking career. So, of course, we're going to go back to him in a game like that. Definitely a good cash on Baker. Unfortunate with my guy Rashad, but it is what it is. Baker did cash my rushing attempts as well, which was the other play. So, big Baker fan over here. Maybe even go back to him this week.
Yeah, dude, I was thinking about playing him. So, but he's not on the show today. He's not an official play today, but we got some good games. So, before we get started, Stu, best game, and then we'll get some dogs going here. We'll get this going quick because I'm trying to keep it in like that 30, 35-minute range. So we'll try to get through it quick. Let's start out with our favorite game of the week. Which one are you looking at?
I will keep this short and simple. I will be watching one football game this weekend, and it will be the Steelers versus the Commanders. That is the game of the week. That is I'm going to have the most bets in that game, and it's the one I care about the most. I mean, two teams. I don't want to say that could use a fraud check maybe because I think that's a little bit harsh. But it's two teams that are relatively untested, unproven, facing each other. I don't think people quite believe in them as like Super Bowl contenders or anything like that. But, I mean, when you look at their records, there aren't many teams better. So I'm definitely locked in for that one. Super excited for it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to move to Falcons Saints. I think I like that matchup. I think that's going to be a good spot for me to want to go to. I think it's like a 46 total. I don't know. Obviously, they shipped out Marshawn Lattimore. You got no Chris Olave. It's going to be interesting. I think the Saints team is kind of falling down the tubes. Now you got a new coach. Curious how they're going to look. I will have a bet in that game already on the show. Yeah, I think that's going to be the game I'm looking most forward to in terms of betting. Stu is back with us. We're good to go. What is your dog this week? We'll go 2 points. We'll go 2 points instead of 3 this week because there is a lot of huge fucking dogs.
Yeah, and I don't need the 2 points. Fuck the 2 points. I want the Buccaneers. After what they did last week, I mean, these guys just keep proving themselves. You can take every single weapon away from Baker Mayfield. We just talked about it a second ago. And he's still marching down the field and scoring in tough matchups in a game that they probably arguably should have won, right? If you go for 2, obviously that's the big kind of controversy these days. But, man, Baker Mayfield just keeps proving people wrong. So I see no reason. I see 6.5 right now. There are some 7s earlier. I mean, I see no reason not to back the Buccaneers as big underdogs here against the 49ers team that they can run the ball really well, but obviously you got a guy like Vita Vea, arguably the most impactful run stuffer in the NFL on the other side, especially on interior runs, which is exactly where Jordan Mason does most of his work. So if you can keep it off the ground, if you can make Brock Purdy work a little bit more, then I think the Buccaneers can give him a really good fight here. I would probably have this, at like a 5 number, but obviously 5 is such a dead number. It's such a middle ground that you don't see stuff fall there very often. So I like the 6.5. I like the Bucs.
Yeah, I can't go there just with McCaffrey playing this week. It's obviously it's kind of a cheat code, man.
But who knows? Who knows how much CMC is going to play week 1? Back?
No, but I mean,
say
he doesn't get. But I mean, say he doesn't get his normal carries, right? But you give him 10 to 12 touches, like that dude only has to come in for that little bit. That's like you're usually rushing like 2 times a drive, just going. Maybe we get 12 touches here, but I don't know, man. I'm just worried about them not being able to stop him out of the backfield. That's my biggest thing, is because they're obviously a good interior run defense, but I mean, Shanahan can't be running this dude up the middle, right? I mean, you're just coming off of a big injury like that. I feel like you're going to be trying to put him in space and try to get him in the spots where he's the best at. And for me, we are going to go with the Panthers again. Give me the Panthers again. 6.5. Chuba got paid, bro. The shit's fucking money, dog. Like, I'm ready. That Bryce Young did not look awful, and that's huge to say. He did not look awful last game. Chuba got paid. Jonathan Brooks is getting activated this week. Could see a little bit of him, right? So I'm excited. I like that 6.5. I think I'm going for my 6th or 7th straight in a row here. Let's get another dog, go back-to-back with the worst team in the NFL. I'm going Panthers 6.5.
I kind of figured you would, to be honest. And I thought about it as well. I like it way more this week, especially after you get a solid performance under your belt. You get Bryce Young looking arguably the closest to comfortable he's been in his career so far against the Saints team that doesn't have any corners active. I don't know. Obviously, traded Lattimore as well, too, since last week, so that'll be interesting to follow. But he took advantage of a bad matchup, and he did exactly what he was supposed to do. So that kind of confidence builder for a guy that has truly been awful since his first second in the NFL is a big deal. It matters, right? Having finally seen one go through is definitely a big thing. So I like the Panthers. I'm not gonna shit on it this week. You proved me wrong last week. I'll give you the flowers for it, and yeah, I'll be riding with it as well.
Hey. I mean, if you can even do those teasers, get these guys for 2 touchdowns. You think the Giants beating anybody in the world ever by 2 touchdowns? No. Fuck no. So just something that you can do too when you have both of us taking dogs like this. You can get a lot of points, dude. A lot of points, and get them ready to roll. So, all right, Stu, we're gonna get a rolling today. We got 25 of you guys in here live with us. Hit that like button if you could. It's gonna be a quicker show today. I know it's a different time, but we're here for you. We're still here for you. I'll still be around being able to help you guys out with questions, anything you got there. Drop those in there. We'll make sure we get there. Quick chat look. We'll take a look at the chat. We got Matt MSA in there. We got sports in there. Cashville. Thank you, Mitch. We appreciate you, my guy. Cashville from Arizona. I love that. Hit that like button. Appreciate you. And let's get this going, Stu. I'll let you start it off in the game that you were talking about already.
Yeah, and I mean, if you've been following this season, it's obviously been good. And one of the focal points has been really targeting my Washington Commanders rushing defense. Whatever advanced metric you're looking at, 28th in success rate over the last 10 weeks or 8 weeks, bottom 5 EPA per rush. I mean, this is just a team that's getting gashed, especially up the middle. What really gave me a lot of confidence, though, is seeing what happened in a negative game script last week, seeing the Giants be trailing literally all game and still absolutely feeding Tracy, absolutely feeding Singletary. They combined for 99 yards Obviously had a little bit more of an explosive first half, but still seeing teams just continue to commit to the run, even when they're trailing Washington, is a big deal. And who better to go to than a guy like Arthur Smith, who over the last 3 seasons, he's been bottom 5 in pass rate over expectation every year, including once again this season. Even with Russell Wilson at quarterback, this is still a run-first team. And guess what? Jaylen Warren's back. I know a lot of people like Jaylen Warren. He's on their fantasy teams and stuff. In back-to-back weeks, we've seen Najee crush this number with Warren back and involved in the lineup, because at the end of the day, their roles are very clearly laid out. He's going to spell Najee Harris after some of those bulkier drives. He's going to get a couple carries, and he's going to be a pass-catching back. That's his job. He's not, Christian McCaffrey. He's the 1B to Najee's 1A. And when we're going to see a guy like this consistently carry the ball 18 plus times against the Commanders, the only possible way I'm not betting this is if I think the Commanders are going to destroy them, right? That's the only way I'm not betting this. His game script gets absolutely out of hand. But I'm not sure how we see that. I think one of the components to Washington being so good this season is limiting turnovers. Shane Daniels obviously has been extremely impressive, especially for a rookie, in terms of keeping the ball safe, sustaining these long drives. The Steelers have forced turnovers at a league high rate. They have a fantastic defensive line that's going to stifle a lot of what Washington wants to do in the short game with Brian Robinson. I think the Steelers do match up with the Commanders very well. Joey Porter Jr. on the outside against Terry McLaurin is going to be a fantastic matchup against 2 very physical guys, 2 contested catch guys. I think we're going to see, I'm going to be keying in on that matchup. So overall, the one, I would say losing condition here would be Washington just coming out explosive, dominating. I just don't think they're going to be able to do what they normally do against a team like the Steelers. They really haven't been tested by good defenses much this year. And when they have, we've kind of seen it, impact the scoring. So if you've watched in the show, it's not a fucking surprise. The Washington rush defense is really bad. They just added Lattimore as well. That's even more of an incentive to run on them and not throw on them. So if Najee's going to touch the ball 20 times, which he so consistently has done, then I love this up to 100 as well.
Yeah, I don't really know how you get away from it. What's his rush attempts at? It's got to be like 16, 17, bro. It don't even matter.
There's no number up right now, but it'll probably be.
That's what sucks right now. There's a lot of stuff not out, right? There's a lot of rushing, receiving yards that I wanted to look at that I couldn't get today. But yeah, definitely a spot, man. Definitely a guy that I'd be surprised if it's under 16.5, right? That feels like the floor at this point for Najee Harris and his rush attempts line. So love Najee. Love that you're going there. Obviously, we've been making some good money on that as well. So I'm going to be going to a little combo. I'm going to Bijan Robinson this week, facing off against the Saints. And I'm going to Justin Jefferson at 70 receiving yards. It's on DraftKings. Bijan, pretty simple here. This Saints defense is just atrocious. Pretty much anything you want to do, you can do. So New Orleans right now, 3rd worst in the NFL in yards per carry at 5.1. We saw them get gashed by Carolina, even with a not great offensive line. Now you get a significantly better offensive line moving in there with Atlanta. Bijan finally getting workhorse roles. We've seen Algier still in there, but damn, dude, even just like the pass catching options, they're just finding a way to get him the ball. And that's pretty much all we wanted last year, right? That's all we wanted with Arthur Smith last year, was just find a way to get the ball in the best player on your team's hand. And we saw 19 carries last week with 7 targets. We saw 13 carries with Tampa Bay, 7 targets. Even in those 7 reception games, he's still getting to this number, right? So he had 63 yards in their game 2 games ago against Tampa Bay, who has a good rush defense. Even with 7 receptions, he still got to the 60 yards. He's hit this in his last 5 games. Probably one of the best spots of all of them. Obviously, I can't put him worse than Carolina. But I really like Bijan this week. Assume that he's going to just continue to get carries through this whole game. I expect him to win this game as well. And it's a dome, so like this spot for Bijan. You're going to Jefferson, man. Oh my God! I want to know how many he's going to put up in this game, man. He gets Jacksonville. This Jacksonville team we've talked about even when they played my Packers, right? Where the Packers have decent receivers, but nobody even on the stratosphere of Justin Jefferson, bro. And Jaden Reed cooked them. Our tight ends cooked them for big plays. Like him and Addison, man, I feel like this is going to be one of their games versus a TJ Hawkinson game, right? Those big chunk plays, play action. I think Jacksonville's going to do a decent job on Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones just hasn't looked as explosive in these last couple of weeks. He's still coming off that injury. But this is, dude, as a Packer fan, I've seen this happen quite a bit. He looks really, really good to start the year. Has a couple little dings. You see his explosiveness go down. And then obviously towards the end, he starts picking it back up. So this kind of feels like more of a passing game for Minnesota. And if I'm going to tag anybody in this passing offense, it's got to be Jay Jetta, bro, because he is on one right now. I saw his lines at like 6.5 minus 150 for catches. He's got to get 6 catches, bro. He's at 100, right? I'm not messing around with receptions. Give me those yards. Let's see some chunk plays, and let's get out of here quick.
Yeah, no, I'm fully with it. That's exactly how I've been targeting Jacksonville this year. Top 5 in explosive play rate, second to worst DVOA against the deep ball. They just can't mitigate guys in the deep passing game. And that's exactly, where Justin Jefferson, where Jordan Addison, those guys eat. So I was looking at Sam Darnold longest completion. That was kind of one of my first looks of the week. And I obviously think Justin Jefferson is the most likely guy to be on the other end of that completion. So definitely love that. Love the Bijan look as well. Love seeing how involved he's been over these last couple weeks. That's a guy that on all my fantasy teams, both of these last 2 years, it's good to see it normalize a little bit this season after last year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Stu, let's take a look at the chat. We got one question in there, and then we'll talk a little bit because we got a play that's going to move pretty quick. We got only one spot left. So, any thoughts on Justin Herbert over 222.5 passing? I saw you last week were ringing that bell on the Chargers passing offense, and hopefully some people tailed you because those guys absolutely shredded last week. Herbert was in the Millie Maker lineup, I believe, right? I mean, that's how you know. If you're in the Millie Maker, man, you got to be optimal or optimal. And then you look at Herbert this week, 222. My only issue, it's 7-point spread. You have a shit Titans team. Any thoughts here on this one?
Yeah, it's a tough one because I think there is a little bit of value on the over just with this team coming out of their bye week and surprisingly being kind of a pass-heavy team. It's just exactly what you said of like, okay, they're a pass-heavy team. This is a game plan that's worked. I don't think they abandon it. But against a Titans team that may not actually force them to pass the ball, maybe they just resort to old habits, right? Maybe we just go back to J.K. Dobbins, 20 carries, get some Vidal in there. I'm just thinking it could be one of those games if it gets out of hand quickly. So I think the best way to approach it is probably a live betting perspective. I would probably try to get a sense of how the game's going early, if they're keeping it competitive. And I think if it is competitive, then I do think Herbert has a good chance to go over this. But Titans do still sneakily have a pretty strong defense. So it's not the best matchup in the world, but I don't think they've quite caught up to Justin Herbert's passing usage yet.
Good looks. Yeah, I just – it's tough when you have a 7-point favorite and you look at it and like this. I think this team would be very content just going into this game and running the ball 30 times, even though Dobbins has kind of looked like dog shit lately. So outside of those 2 big runs last week for touchdowns. So, Mitch bringing up Jawan Jennings. I haven't heard that name in a while. You want to go there with CMC coming back? You got all these guys there. I don't know if I want – this is a spot I'd like to go to. I don't mind Purdy just because – you pretty much can pass anywhere you want on these guys, but there's a lot of miles out there.
Same thing. I like Juwan Jennings a lot, but he's never a guy I'm really like. I like him as a real life player, not as a betting target. He's a good blocker. He does the little things. That's why Shanahan loves him. But no, at 40 plus, like you said, there's just too many mouths to feed that I'm not a name I'm going out of my way to bet on.
All right, so I'm officially going to switch this over to 2 units, bro. Since we're both playing and we got one spot. We have an unofficial collab that we didn't, like I said, I ain't talking to Stu out in Puerto Rico. I'm letting us do his thing out there. I ain't going to be out there just haggling this man for props. So we get on this morning. We both got the same pick. We're ready to go. So we're going to make it a 2 unit. We have hit our only other 2 unit. Let's do it.
Yeah, we got Saquon Barkley over 88.5 rushing yards right here. Oh, man, I'm so glad we were on the same page. I know you backed Saquon in a tougher matchup last week against a Jacksonville team that is a pass funnel, that they do force you to pass the ball in them. You know what? The Eagles said we don't actually care about that. Saquon's really good. We're going to keep giving the ball to him 20 times a game. And we saw what happened even against a tougher matchup. This is obviously not a tough matchup. We've talked about the Cowboys multiple times this season and their woes on defense. Arguably in the passing game and in the rushing game. They're really not strong on either side of the ball. But for me, I honestly thought this might be the first triple-digit number of the year. I honestly thought this could be one where we saw it like legit open at 100 rushing yards. And I know we talked about it a lot. The sportsbooks hate doing that because the regular average bettor has such a hard time getting to those super high numbers that they just don't get the action that they'd like. And I think that kind of gives us a little it gives us a nice opportunity right here to take advantage on the ground. What I do like a lot about Saquon in this matchup is the volume. We've seen this team, they're 7.5-point favorites, right? We've seen them in the 2 games that they've won by 7 or more points. He's crushed 20 carries and he's crushed 100 yards, like in both of them, like easily. So if this is going to be a game script where the sports books are right, Cooper Rush isn't going to be able to come in and do much. They're going to dominate time of possessions. If you're giving Saquon Barkley 20 carries against this team, like this is a fantastic prop. I'll take it at any number under 100. And when you look at it, every game since the bye week, he's had 18 carries. Every single game coming out of the bye week, 18 carries. That is some of the best volume you could possibly have. Currently second in the NFL in rushing yards at 992. I see no reason why they'd go away from that. Won 4 straight games. These are 2 teams going in complete opposite directions right now. I don't see how Dallas moves the ball. I don't see how they control time of possession. I think the Eagles just control this game on the ground, and I think Saquon Barkley is a huge part of it. So given that kind of game environment, and even, looking at your prop last week and being a little worried, like maybe they go pass heavy, maybe they mix it up, and seeing them just commit to that same game plan against the Jaguars gives me a lot of confidence they're going to be able to execute that this week.
Yeah, and one other thing I wanted to point out is the reason why I went to rushing receiving last week is the Jaguars are allowing over 7 targets to running backs and they played them last week, and obviously he went crazy. Cowboys are around 4.5, so pretty low in terms of just like receiving running back options. And a lot of it's just because you can run on them, right? I mean, they're at almost over 4.5 yards per carry allowed. Eagles are one of the best offensive lines in the league. You want to go down the list. I mean, you look at some of these teams that are below them in terms of rushing yards per carry. It's the Giants, it's Washington, it's New Orleans, it's Chicago, right? It's teams that are struggling in the front 7. And I mean, okay, you bring back Micah Parsons. All right, let's just run the other way. It doesn't matter. Like they can't stop it, right? So I understand Micah Parsons coming back is probably the only real issue that anybody could have outside of the Eagles just beating them by 50 and getting up huge, but I have a little bit more faith in the secondary than I do in this front 7 because I've just watched this team get gashed because I've had so many Dak Prescott props get smoked because they can't get the ball back because they can't stop the run. So I'm loving Saquon this week. It's volume unmatched. He's at 80 yards in every game but 1 this year, right? That is absurd. Every game but 1, and that 1 game was the Browns, who obviously have a stout front 7. Every other game he's at 80 yards, bro. And obviously when you see those last 4 weeks or last 3 weeks with the volume, man, it's tough to get away from that. It's really tough to get away from it. And we don't need him to score a touchdown. We don't need Jalen Hurts to vulture me a touchdown. I don't give a shit. Vulture away. Give me those 88 yards on the field, and I'll let you do whatever you want to do on the 1 yard line, steal touchdowns because you want to be MVP, bro. So let's get Saquon out there. I'm excited. Hey, Saquon, you do all the heavy lift and let him get his glory at the end.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we don't care about the touchdowns here. Maybe the way we hedge this a little, maybe whenever Kenneth Gainwell, like 11 yards, comes out, you pop a couple bucks on that. And then if you want to get real crazy, how about Kenneth Gainwell last touchdown score, right? Maybe they are up 20 points in this game, and maybe we do see them come through with that. So I don't mind the little last touchdown. I'm sure it's going to be crazy odds.
Oh, yeah. I mean, who's clicking a Kenneth Gainwell button, bro? I don't even know if they remember he's in the league, bro. So I'm excited. I'm ready to roll here. And happy that we're on the same prop coming into this one. So if you have any other questions, guys, drop them in there. Let's get through a quick recap, and we might be doing pretty good on this too. We might have actually done this in the time that we said we would get it done, which is actually pretty impressive for us.
Oh, yeah. We got Najee Harris over 63.5 rushing yards, minus 110. Caesars, MGM, all those spots. I played up to 66.5.
And I'll be on Bijan, 60 rushing yards, and Justin Jefferson, 70 receiving at minus 125 on DK. I'll let you take this one, Stu.
Yep, finally we got the collab play. Like I said, we didn't talk about it before. We both came together here on Saquon Barkley over 88.5 rush yards, minus 110. I don't know about you. I'm pretty comfortable with this up to like 91, 92. And I'll probably be sprinkling some like leading rusher on the slate kind of stuff as well.
Beautiful. Yeah, no, that's what I tried to do last week, and I remember somebody beat me. I think I'd have to look. I'd have to take a look on there. All right, quick question here, Stu. Sup, boys? Would you trade Brian Thomas Jr. for Debo? I also have CMC. I think the Jags might sit Trevor. You think they're going to sit him?
I don't know. There have been some like rumblings though. I mean, with not healthy, like it's one of those things. Maybe it just takes one hit. They're kind of like, well, there's no risk in going back. I don't mind it. Although I don't love Debo and CMC on the same team because they're kind of vulturing each other. It's a little bit more boom or bust, right? On those good days, you're gonna crush, but on the bad days, it's gonna be rough. So I think in normal circumstances, I probably would. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is really good, but I don't know if I see the upside if Trevor, does miss some time. But it's kind of a tough call. I would probably lean Debo in this one slightly, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in the business of guessing fantasy players getting sat. I mean, if they sit them, you know what I mean? Like that's like maybe the last 2 weeks, but. I don't know. Thomas Jr. has just been a hog, man. He's been an absolute ball hog, and now you have no freaking Kirk. Like, it's tough, man. It's tough for me to want to get rid of that guy. Lastly, Stu, Aaron Jones over rush attempts plus Sam Darnold's under pass attempts. I can't imagine that would be very good odds with the correlation, obviously. I would probably just bet them separate. I would just probably bet them 2 separate bets. I'm assuming that's what he meant because I don't think he would parlay those.
Yeah, I mean, I like the bets. I like the Darnold under attempts. I'm not sure if he's going to need to actually pass that much. I think he'll be efficient with his passing, but we've kind of seen that with Darnold all year, where he can put up some pretty good yardage totals, but it's not, consistent. That's why I like the longest completion. So that's how I would play him. But yeah, I don't mind that. For Aaron Jones, a little bit tougher. Aaron Jones receiving yards is really the only thing I ever go to him, and it doesn't fail me very often, so I don't mind the receiving yards.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, Stu, anything else you got for the people? We said 30 minutes. We got 2 minutes to spare here, Stu. What do you got for them?
Yeah, man, I'm sweating in here. Whew, no fan, had to cut it off for the production value. Obviously, as you can see, high-level stuff right here. Appreciate you guys sticking with us. Obviously, probably the ugliest show in terms of, my camera, no lighting, all that. But it is what it is. I know you guys at the end of the day want the picks. And we didn't want to miss another one. As simple as that. We have fun coming here every Friday. We've had a fantastic season so far, and we look forward to adding on to that again today. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate you sticking with us. 36 and 24, 14 units on the season. Let's add to that this weekend.
Yes, sir, guys. And for just for us right now, if we're going to drop long shots, we'll probably drop them in the comment section, okay? So just make sure you guys are ready. Make sure you got notification bell on. Make sure you got that all ready, and hit that like button, too, so you guys know when we drop anything here extra. Just because there's not going to be much out, guys. There's not going to be much out right now. There's not even rushing receiving guys that I wanted. I wanted some Bijan rushing receiving yards. Didn't even get that. Like, a lot of the stuff ain't out yet. So, yeah, good stuff. Enjoy Puerto Rico, man. It's a beautiful place. We went out there right when the pandemic started, and it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Are you doing the hike? Are you doing the rainforest hike out there?
Of course, yeah.
Hell yeah. That place is sick, bro.
It got delayed to tomorrow due to some hangover complications in the group. Not everyone was ready, but hey, no, ready to go. Doing it tomorrow, 100%.
Hey, if you find a pair of Ray-Bans in the water out there, they're probably mine, bro. I fucking ate shit walking down the rocks and fucking fell in my head. Like, I didn't hit my head or anything, but it was like, I have them like right here on my head, and my fucking glasses flew in the water. So if you find a pair of Ray-Bans from like 4 years ago, they're in there, probably under a turtle or something. But yeah, dude, it was a sick place. I think you'll have a good time for sure.
Oh, yeah. Amazing country. Shout out my guy Elijah in the chat, always repping Puerto Rico as well. Shout out to the boys in Discord giving the recommendations as well. Great time, great place to be. And, yeah, hopefully even better place to be cashing some fucking tickets. How about that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know it was a quick one. If you guys could hit that like button, we appreciate you. We'll be back Monday. Regular stuff, regular time, ready to roll. So thank you guys, and best of luck this week.